the H4 fins. It comes in small, medium, and large.
Yep.
And we're here with Keoni, and he's going to go over the thruster fins and the rear quads. So the fins come as a thruster setup, and then the rear quads as a separate skew, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So initially came out with the thruster set, and the whole unique design was all about speed and creating torsional flex. So the way the material is laid out and this flag-like design and this unique foil encourage torsional flex versus your standard flex. So it's much different feeling. And then this thruster trailer has an elliptical shape, and this was all about creating speed and really letting these front fins do their work and not working against it. So it was just very, I guess you could call it pretty neutral in the design, but the elliptical shape was all about speed here. So there are guys that love their quads, and so the idea was to come up with a quad set that would work with the front fins. And it's got a similar design, but there's a new revolutionary foil here. And this foil is different, and it's going to help give the speed and control that these front fins are creating. So it's going to work with it. And what's important is that the materials are the same. So a lot of times if you're using, say, maybe a glass flex front, and then you're putting a PC rear, you're going to have different actions with those two different materials, and they're going to load and they're going to release differently. So what's important is to have the materials be the same so that they load and release together. And obviously we didn't have anything else, a quad rear, to work with this front fin. So it was important to come up with a quad set. So you'll see it's hard to see on camera, but there's a real unique foil here that is like nothing we've done before, and it'll help create stability and predictability with these front fins. Because normally quads are very fast, maybe a little erratic. They don't have the control like a thruster does. But these fins were designed to work with these front fins to let it do its job and keep with a lot of control.
So it's interesting that you said that about the quads. If you have two different materials, like the front you have one type of material, the back you have another type of material, sometimes it might work against each other and the board will start working.
It can, yeah, and I noticed that a lot, especially if you're kind of at opposite ends of the spectrum. Say you've got a performance glass on one end, and then you have something like PC on the other end. So those are quite different materials, and they're going to load and release differently. So a lot of times, if you're running them together, you're going to feel it. So I found I really like using the same materials together.
This is from testing your ASIM.
The ASIM was really interesting because you're feeling them on one side. You've got on your toe side you've got one fin, and then on your heel side you've got two others. So yeah, you felt it a little more running that combination because of the three fins. But I ride a lot of quads, so I took that into my quad sets, and I definitely felt it there as well.
So on this H4, the biggest thing I notice is, first of all, how it seems like it gets thicker right there, and then they cut the tip off.
Yeah, no, it's a different foil. Generally you see from the base to the tip, it's a real gradual foil, but this doesn't do that. It's a little different foil here, and again, that's to create and encourage torsional flex. So it's a lot different.
So what does it mean by torsional flex?
So more of a spinning, twisting flex versus kind of a lateral flex like this. So the way this material is laid up, you can see it's laid up differently than you would any other glass or the way carbon is laid in here. So it's much different.
And what does that torsional flex do? It just gets it more control?
So the torsional flex is going to create a little longer, and maybe initially it's delayed, but throughout the turn, it's going to come back a little differently. So this is going to allow for longer arcs. It's going to allow for, 10, 12 yard turns versus like 6 to 8 yard turns. So we get something overhead, something with a nice round pin, like a step up. Something like that is really going to allow for longer turns, and it's really going to bring you back a lot more than a regular fin would.
And then this rear fin, it kind of comes straight up and then it just goes back.
Yeah, the elliptical shape is definitely the fastest, and this was just to kind of not to let these fins do their trick, and do what they're going to do, and just kind of let it be neutral. And so that was the idea of this rear fin, being in the thruster set.
Yeah. Right on. Thank you very much.
Yep.
So what kind of board would you recommend these things, and what kind of waves?
So definitely with the thruster set, it was kind of a step up or something you're going to use in better waves. Maybe a Laniakea, Rocky Point, something where you're going down the line, and maybe a round pin, something that you're going to do more carving kind of turns on. And the quad, I think, similar idea too. Something with kind of a round pin, and something that you're kind of looking more of a down the line wave rather than like a short stabby kind of wave.
Right on.
Yep.
Thank you very much, man.
All right.
Right on.